Hello. Well, as it says on my screen, it's Friday. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Well, let's find out. Yep. That's what today will be, is what could possibly go wrong. Let's find out, because this week has been, well, Monday was, could this possibly go wrong? No, and it did. And then Wednesday, things were mostly okay. I got some foil put on the model, and it looks okay. It's in a box up there. I'll be opening that in a little while, and we'll find out if that might be one of the things that went wrong. I don't know. We'll see if it adhered. I used rubber cement to adhere it because I wanted, and it was a good thing I did that, because you can. I'll let you look at my coffee here. Here, I'll put this on the screen. That's more interesting. I'll explain what that's about in a little while. Yeah. Yeah, because you can, it sticks to itself. I discovered I had to put it on both surfaces for it to stick to itself, but you could also peel it off and rub it off. And there were some places where I needed to peel back the foil and reset it a couple of times. So that worked okay. But I'm not sure how well I think it should hold. Find out. I don't know. Finding out all sorts of things here. It's probably not, the way it's supposed to really be done. If somebody knew what they were doing, they would probably use some sort of other adhesive and do a much better job of applying the foil. But this is a old guy making models on the cheap kind of thing, and doing the best I can. Well, previews. I'm going to be gone next week, traveling again. Yeah, one more time away, and there will be the one next week, and then there'll be another one for about a week long. Exactly a week long in terms of the stream, anyway. A couple of weeks later, like the second week of September. Okay, not over Labor Day. Although I probably won't stream on Labor Day. Yeah, I'll take the day off. It's a holiday here in the U.S., so why not? Why not me too? So, this erratic summer schedule, actually erratic 2024 schedule, because it's been erratic since the beginning of the year. Was gone in January, was gone in April and May, was gone in the end of June, beginning of July, was gone again after that for a couple of weeks, going away next week, you wonder if I've ever, can settle down. But after that, after the next two being aways, I don't have any other aways planned, so should be able to move along on whatever is moving. So that's one preview. I won't be streaming next week. Then I'll be back for about 2 weeks, I think it is. I don't know. I'll live day by day here. And then I'll be gone for a week, and then I'll be back for more time. The other preview, and this is cool, is I'm going to be taking a break from the Apollo, and I've got these guys. It's an entire army. An entire army. There's 10 of them that are not painted, and then this one that was painted. Minifigs. They're all in uniform, so they're all going to be dressed alike. So this is going to be this is going to be an assembly line kind of thing. But it will be, looks like they're It's pretty amazing. They're all different. Lexi was grumbling about having to do the cuts, whatever they were, cuts or something for the rosin printer, 3D printer to print these guys. Nicole painted this one. Did this yesterday. This was to show me how to do it because I needed instructions anyway. This is how they're all going to look, except that the beard colors will be different. That will differentiate them. Otherwise, they're all in the same sort of uniform. And what the multi-layered kind of thing, these are actually pretty straightforward to paint because mainly it's metal armor, except for like pants and some things on the shoulders and leather gloves and backs of the boots. So they're going to be base coated in brown and then sort of washed, really, really thinned out. It's this stuff, this dark aluminium, which is already thin because it's made for airbrushing. Well, it's thinned out even further, like 50 this and thinner. So it's really thin. And then it's painted over the brown so that the armor looks kind of rusty. And you can see that how the brownish color shows through. And then it's washed with a dark gray wash to make it look even more worn and darker. Okay, like that. She's pretty good at just dabbing stuff in the right places. Oh, this would look good if I did it here. This would look good if I did it here. And it does. And for me, it's like, I don't know, I'll just put it on and see what happens. So anyway, there's 10 of these guys that yet to be painted. She did this in like 20 minutes or something. Just the major time it took was waiting for paint to dry. This is the prototype. And I'll be starting not next week, but the week after. The week after, a week from Monday, I'll be starting to paint these guys. And we'll just see how it goes, right? See how it goes. And they should end up looking pretty much like this. So that's a preview of that. Now I get to put them away. They need a little bit of cleaning up. So I'll probably do that. When you look at them, sometimes they come off a 3D printer and there's just like little tags, little bumps, sometimes a filament here or there. Like I can see one on the top of this guy's helmet, where there's just a bump there that doesn't need to be there. So I'll probably go over them before I paint them to get rid of those where they're going to just look not that good. Carefully in here so I don't break anything. There's another one. So a week from Monday, regardless of how it goes with the Apollo, okay, regardless of how it goes, I'll be gone next week. And then the week after that, I'll be starting to work on these minifigs. And if this were Nicole, they'd probably all be done in like, I don't know, there's a lot of them, there's 10, but probably 2 streams they'd be done. I don't know if I'll be able to do it that fast or not. We'll see. I'm going to use this container. These are the colors. These are all the colors that are on there. You wouldn't think it, right? Looking at it, that there were this many colors, but there are. This is the base coat color. This is I don't know if you noticed it, but the pants and the shield were blue. That's this blue. This is the base, the bottom of it. This is the highlight on the shield. Pretty cool. This is the goggles on the gas mask. This is the dark aluminium. And this is the black wash. We use black? Thought we used the dark gray. Okay, well, there it is. Maybe I'll mess around with that. Because there's a dark gray wash also. There's two of them. This one has fingerprints on it, so this is the one that's probably been opened. I'm finding all sorts of trash over there. Okay, I'm going to leave the washes out of here because I don't need those. I mean, I could. Okay, but I just knocked things over. Fortunately, they're just these little plastic bottles of paint that are closed up, and so, like this. I knocked a couple of those over. I'm going to put these somewhere else so that I have my work surface here. After I use up 25 minutes of stream time, I'll probably get around to working on a model. No. 3D printers, the 3D printers behind me, it's something printed. I'm not sure what it is, but they've actually been used for printing again. It's been a while. They've been idle for a bit. Okay, here's some tools, and here's the box of stuff I'm working on. Yeah, so there's this foil that is being put onto the descent stage of the lunar module. These are tweezers. I'll move this up a little higher so you can see what's going on. Tweezers for tweezing little bits of foil if I need to, like, put patches on or something, and toothpicks for poking at stuff. Really high-tech quality tools, right? High-tech tools. This is the foil that's left. I'll be measuring and cutting some pieces of that. I'm going to keep this around, but not quite there. Not quite there. A little bit, but not very far out of the way. This is just a little piece of paper towel. Okay. Put in the box. I'll show you what I'm dealing with here. Okay. These got all jumbled up. They were all very neatly arranged before, but moving the box, I guess, yesterday doing the minifigs, they got jumbled up. These are all little pieces of the landing gear that are supposed to work. They fold and unfold. They're supposed to do that. And they're painted gold. Talk a little bit more about that. But this is the lunar module descent stage, and this is the foil that I was able to apply on Wednesday. And the good thing about this is that it hasn't fallen off. I did some things I wasn't sure I was able to do, like I got this wrapped, this little protuberance. I got that wrapped and it stayed wrapped. And then there's this bit here that kind of comes out that makes the next level, the next stage of wrapping it a little bit challenging. So I'm going to be cutting a piece the same length as the one that I've already wrapped around. It's a little bit more than half. It's going to start right here and wrap around, go up underneath these, which is kind of a nuisance to do, come up to here, okay? And then when it wraps around the top of this, it'll like fold out. I did this here because if it's the height of this and I wrap it and it folds out and back, it would end up like about this far. So it'll leave a gap. So what I want to do, and I won't know how to do it until I get here, is I'll need to make little cuts in the foil as I'm wrapping it. Like right about there, probably, so that a flap can come out, go around the top, but a flap will stick out here that will then be pushed down into here and folded over the top of this maybe a little bit. And then it'll just go around to here. And then at some point I'll cut it off and it'll overlap a little bit here in the back on this one. But so far it's gone kind of surprisingly well, which makes me worry, like what's going to happen now. But there isn't anything to be done for it except to do it. I also saw, this is just painted gold, because all these struts, and they really don't match the color, but at least they're gold colored. The real Lunar Excursion module, these things were actually wrapped in this foil. They weren't painted, they weren't gilded, they were wrapped in this foil. And so, if this goes okay today, like if I can get this around and this part okay, if I can get the rest of this base wrapped, what I am going to do is, in order to make it look sort of like the real thing, as opposed to just a painted plastic thing, is these struts here. These go out like this. Right. Yeah. And it clips on here, kind of. I'm not going to do it now. And it needs to be done very carefully, because this is tiny, tiny little bit of plastic that will almost certainly break if I force that at the moment. This clips on like that, and it's on the outside, and then there's all the rest of this stuff here. Clips on here down at the bottom, but it would look, I don't think I can wrap all those little pieces. I can maybe try, I'll see, but I'm going to start with these. I'll just start over. I'm babbling a little bit incoherently. Well, not terribly incoherently. If this wrap goes okay, and I have material left over, I'm going to wrap these long struts, because they're the outside struts. They're the ones that show the most. And if they are wrapped in the gold foil, it will look more like the original LEM. Okay. And actually these are the landing pads. These were wrapped as well. And on the real thing, they just look kind of crappy, really. The foil is just wrapped around them and kind of tucked in. And if there's foil left over, I should be able to do that so that the whole outside part of this landing assembly, landing gear assembly, will be more authentic in its look. So that's just maybe I'll do that if this goes okay. And there's no way of knowing if it will go okay until I try it. Excuse me. Great. I got hiccups. Great. Mm-hmm. So there. But I'm going to put these aside for now. The assembly of the landing struts is going to be, I'm just going to have to be really focused and slow and cautious, because all of these pieces are tiny and brittle, and it would be really easy to break something. And if it breaks, it will be fairly hard to repair it. And I've already broken one of these twice, one of these struts on the top. And I'll show you the model. I'm making this. This is the 1990s issue of the Apollo stack. This is starting at the top of the Saturn V rocket. Hi, thanks for joining in. And these are all the components of the part that had to do with the astronauts. So it starts at the top with the escape tower, the command module, the service module, the fairing in which the lunar module sits. And in this particular model, all of these parts are separate, okay? So that, as the instructions show, I think I'll go through it again. It's kind of cool. The way the instructions show it, you can actually use this model to replicate the Apollo 11 mission. And so far, I've finished the escape tower, the service module, and the ascent stage, the part that holds the astronauts of the lunar module. And this bit here is the part that landed on the moon. It has the retro rocket that landed on the moon. And then this stays behind, and the ascent stage just pops right off. This is the way this works, is that, if the whole thing were assembled and stacked, then it'd be like 15, 20 inches high. It looks like this. And then when the rocket successfully takes off, the escape tower comes off, and all of these parts are separate in the model. And what happens then is that this fairing that holds the lunar module opens up. This component goes out, turns 180 degrees, and docks with the lunar module. Okay, and it can actually do that with the model. All the parts come apart and go together. And then it looks like this, where the service and command module are docked to the two components of the lunar module. And then the LEM lands on the moon. Yay. Little astronaut guy walks around. I've got one of those. And then on the return voyage, this part that I'm working on now stays behind, and the ascent stage takes off, redocks with the command module. The astronauts come out of here and go back in the command module. It's a kit, so I bought the kit. And then when it's time to land, the LEM gets thrown away, and the service module gets thrown away, and the command module comes down. So yeah, it's a kit. Although I have to say this, the parts, well, I'll show you here. Like this tray are the parts for the command module. Okay, so this is how they come out of the box after they're removed from the tree, but they're really a mess. They were really poorly injection molded, and so if you look back at some of the streams of the last streams I've been spending most of the time on this stream filing and sanding the parts so that they fit. So in some ways, I bought the kit, but there's just a lot of manipulation that needs to be done in order to make these things work. The biggest part is that they're injection molded, and so you get little parts like this, okay, or like the ones that were in the box. And the mold didn't fit all the way together, and so the plastic oozed out a little bit, and so that left a ridge that had to be sanded off. And in a couple of cases, this actually happened, is if it was supposed to be like this with the two halves, the molds didn't match, and so they actually came out like this. They these parts were sticking out on either end, and it was just like, how far down do you sand these things in order to get a piece that isn't mismatched? So just like the real lunar module, this model is being wrapped in gold colored foil, and I've got it a little bit more than half done. These special little protuberances are yet to be finished. So I need to do is slice off another piece of this, about that big, and just start wrapping it around, starting here, starting right there, start wrapping it around, going underneath these things, somehow or other going over this, and then ending here, cutting it off and finishing it. And even though I did this on Wednesday, I'm lacking confidence today about how this is going to go. I don't know why, but I just am. I'm concerned about this part here, which should be pretty straightforward. It should just be a matter of snipping, cutting up, bringing it up to this far, and then cutting it off, and then wrapping it around, leaving a little flap on either side. But I don't know. So I'll let you know that what's happening is that I am not a master modeler. I'm not the kind of person who, with the skills and techniques and tools and stuff to make the kind of model that shows up on the box top. But I kind of like making these models and trying to make them look as well as I can. So what I've said is this is not a how-to-do show in the sense of you're going to end up with something that you could look under a microscope and not see any flaws on it. But this is a how to do it. No, thanks for the follow. How to make models that look pretty nice. It looks pretty good is the level of model that I'm going for. Pretty good, right? Thank you. Yeah, and so that's the level of skill here. So, and I decided that that's actually okay because most people who might want to make a model do not have all sorts of equipment and everything else, or that they're highly skilled and that sort of thing. And so they want their models to look pretty good, but they're also limited in what they have. And so this stream, I think, is helpful for that purpose. Because this is looking pretty good. That came out okay. Now I have to see if I can make the other part look pretty good. I have to remove glasses, unlike a lot of old people. My old people vision is the opposite of most old people's vision. Most old people can't see close up, so that's why they wear reading glasses. Otherwise, they're holding things out like that. Well, I can't see. That's the only thing I can see is close up. So those glasses are great for things that are like 18 inches or further, but they're not very good for anything close up. I can't focus, so I take those off. So I measured this once before. I'm using the millimeter scale because it's more accurate. 10, 20, 30. Yeah, I can see pretty clearly. What's that? Like a foot and a half maybe. What? Half a meter in metric? Yeah, that's about as far as I can see before everything starts getting fuzzy. In fact, my chat screen, it's like 3 feet away from me. I had to get a large print version of the chat screen, which is why I'm looking over there. And even that is a little bit fuzzy, but I can kind of see. So what I want to do is cover this exactly plus 2 millimeters to wrap around the. So I need to cut 37 millimeters of this and then begin the process of wrapping it around the lunar module. And I found that this is what I found is that I think I'm cutting it in the wrong direction. I think this is the edge against which I want to cut it and not this one. Measure twice, cut once. That's a thing. A very important saying. wonder if this is long enough. I don't want to mess it up too much. Mess it up just enough, right? That would be, yeah, that's almost perfect in terms of length. Dare I take the chance? I think I will. I'm going to just cut it here. Because if it's just about the right length, then it makes it easier. Well, no, we'll see. This is one of those things. When I was working, I was in kind of management position, right? So I got to try to get other people to get things done. And so I had these aphorisms. Instead of a management book, I just came up with little sayings. Because they're easy to remember. Like, each journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Well, the management version of that is you can't finish unless you get started. That was actually a problem, getting started on things. I made that mark too short. Getting started on things was actually a problem. It was really easy to not start. Like people would talk about designing things or coming up with a plan and that kind of stuff. And that would just take forever. And then you could have a planning committee to design the agenda for the planning committee, and on and on and on. It was possible to put off actually starting something in months, while at the same time giving the impression that something was getting done. It was people who could do that were really highly skilled. I think almost sought after by some people. It's because we really didn't want to do something. Mm-hmm. We really didn't want to do something, and so we didn't want to get started. I put a mark there. There it is. Now, hopefully, I measured carefully twice. Now, I'm going to very, very carefully cut right along the top of this, keeping the edge of the blade right against the ruler, creating a perfectly smooth cut. Yeah, blade. Well, it cut. If I measured accurately, well, now let me get this out of the way first. I don't want to just mess things up. If I measured accurately, this will go right there like that. Yeah, that works. So this is going to start here, right up against that little protuberance that's already been covered, and then wrap around, be forced up underneath that, come up to here, somehow be trimmed there so that it creates a flap somehow. And will be, this, if this all holds together and I can get it around, getting it around these little struts is kind of a pain. But this will work if I don't mess it up, like I just did already. The foil is very, very thin and very crinkly, and it has a habit of kind of folding in on itself. Okay, clear the work surface. Put these things out of the way so that they don't get in the way. Making it more crinkly there. It was kind of yeah. Okay, so well, there's nothing to be done but to get on with it. I'm going to need these little toothpicks, especially this one, to push the foil up around here, there. And I'll be fine when at first until I get there, and then if I can get past here, then there's not an issue until I get to this. And then here, need to, I don't know, I'll need to do something that I haven't done before to see how it goes. I tried that. I actually tried that when I was testing it, is to get when it comes to that spot, is to put a little nick, basically a tiny just little nick in the foil, so that it kind of opens up and wraps around. And that's probably what happened though, is it didn't work. And I'm not sure what I did wrong, but for some reason it either tore too far or it didn't open up enough. But I had a lot of trouble doing that. And so what I ended up doing here is it just wrapped around. It sort of just wrapped around. But I may end up doing that. I might try to put just, if I can get it in exactly the right spot when I get to it, is to put a little nick, tiny little nick. And I need the right tool to do that. You would think that this would, but the tips of the scissors don't together that well. But I can use a toothpick. I think that would work. That's a nice low-tech solution, is to just poke it with a toothpick. I'm using rubber cement to attach this, and having used rubber cement before, I know that there's lots of things that can go wrong, one of which is that I really need to put it on the paper towel. The cardboard is abrasive, and if I keep rubbing it, it rubs the gold paint off. You think so? I think with this, that's a very nice sharp blade. I'm going to keep that tool out, see how that goes. Rubber cement has this tendency to just get everywhere on everything. It just does. And it comes with this really big brush. And I've learned the hard way that using this brush just makes a huge mess. So what I've been doing is I've taken a sacrificial paintbrush, and I've been using this to spread the cement. This stuff is not too hard to work with. It stays sticky for a good long time. So I can put it on, get hairs. I can put it on and it just stays tacky for a while. Kind of like, it's like, it is contact cement in a sense. And it seems to hold adequately. But the nice thing is that it does allow me to lift something up and reposition it. Without, you know, it just does that. It lets that happen. And I can let this sit for a while. It needs to be done on the other part of it. You- This is actually the, putting this on, as I discovered with the first part that I did, is it would help to have like 4 hands. It'd be really good to have more hands available to hold pieces. But I only have 2, so that's what I'll work with. So this is, I don't know. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully it'll go okay. The other thing is, trying not to get the cement all over my fingers. Kind of the advantage of letting it set for a bit. Okay, so it's still very tacky, but is that it sort of dries on the surface, and so touching it doesn't necessarily mean getting cement all over one's hands. Not necessarily. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but it means that it doesn't have to happen. I was smart there. I didn't put my finger on it to hold it down, and I didn't use a toothpick that would poke through it. I actually thought that through before I did something. I must have to be proud of myself there. Okay. Well, now there's cement on these things, so there's nothing to be done but to start doing it. To carefully, top is the most important lining up part because it wraps around the bottom. Oh my, oh my. I am being hampered by being half blind here. There we go. There. I should just stop there. That would be a good place to stop, but no. So I need a little nick right there. Well, what happened is it's not aligned. See, that's the good thing about the rubber cement is I was able to take that off. Is it started to dip down. There we go. That's good. Oh, that's really not too bad. I've got a little spot here. I'm going to have to put some repair on that. The foil crinkled too much. But not too bad. This is the part here that I'm going to have to work on. So I need to slice it like right there. This is, I'm going to try this. I need to have this like here. I'll just do it right there. Cuts through that without cutting through the one underneath it. Neurosurgery or something here. The thing, there we go, like that. That's what I was doing. I was cutting this. I didn't want to do that. I have to be careful not to touch those. Fold it over just a little bit here. This folds over the bottom. Okay, so this worked. Okay, see, I was able to, need to make sure it's lined up on top before doing anything like that. I need to hold that. So this worked here. Now I need to do, and then the flap comes up like that. Manipulate this later. I need to do other things here. I need to cut a little niche there. Okay, well, I'm being, I mean, it's coming along, but being a little bit difficult. But I got that cut okay. I need to make another one. Do the same thing like here. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe. Okay. Well, the top part is what needs to be done next here because it's coming along. It's coming along okay. Yeah, I'm going silent because I'm doing this. What I'm doing is I'm sticking gold foil on here, and it seems to be mostly okay. Need a little patching here. I've done patches before, and they work okay because the foil kind of blends in with itself. That's nice and crinkly. I got the crinkles there. Okay, I didn't put the cement all the way over to this edge because I wasn't sure how far it was going to go. Now I know. So I'm going to finish this off. Put there's that it's on here right up to the edge. Now leave the jar. I'm going to leave the jar open. Probably a bad idea, but there it is. Um, this is this not sticking? I don't know. I guess it's okay. Here I've got some little patches I want to do, and then I need to push some of this down to make sure it's adhering here and there. Like here, it's not. I want to put a little bit of a patch there, but let me squeeze this. Do some squeezing to make sure that the stuff is adhering. Fortunately, the real lem is even more wrinkly than this. I mean, it's really wrinkly, and it kind of looks crappy, to be honest. This actually looks better than the real thing in some ways. Okay. Yeah. I mean, not too bad. It came out not too bad. I've got It was a really good reason. Yeah, it looks pretty good, right? I mean, that was I'm aiming for, right? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. Not too bad. Pretty good, even. Yep. Yeah, pretty close to the edges all around, up at the top. There is a spot there that's pretty conspicuously not covered because the foil just folded on itself. It just sort of collapsed on itself. And I've done this before. This is the thing about this is the thing is really tiny. Okay, the piece of foil I'm working with is tiny and just hard to hold on to. It's like this. Okay, just minuscule, almost little piece because it's covering just a minuscule little piece. And that one is folded over on itself, so it looks silvery. But if I were to take this, what I want is like the tiniest little piece of it. So this isn't like real dangerous kind of work, like something could go horribly wrong. What it is tiny, like hard to maneuver because it's really tiny. And well, it very tinily flew off the workbench and just disappeared. It popped off of the tweezers and is now a permanent part of the basement floor. This is one of these things that I really don't need to be doing, but it's the difference between pretty good and pretty good, I think. So I'm going to just take the time to recut another piece. That other piece was just perfect. I'm going to, but it's gone now. It disappeared onto the floor. Okay, I need to get a little bit of rubber cement on the spot where this is going to go. Right there. And I hope that's enough to make it stick. And then I'm going to grab the patch and attempt to stick it. And I almost did. And then everything rotated. And there. Oh, see, that's what I was attempting to do. Now I need to push it down. Huh. And it's not sticking. Why is it not sticking? Almost busted that off. Okay, these little flanges are really delicate, and I keep pushing my fingers up against them. I nearly busted that one off. That would have been really bad because it's is designed to support the entire model. And I lost my patch. Okay, well, I get to start over with another tiny little piece of foil, and I think what I'm going to do is make it bigger than I need to so that I can actually see it and manipulate it. The actually, I think probably the real thing had the same sort of issue. You know, that there's I just found it nice that pieces of the foil would tear while they were assembling it or whatever, and then they'd have to repair it. And I'm guessing that the same sort of thing just happened. You know, if sometimes, you think of spacecraft as being these wonderful, pristine, precision made pieces of equipment, and for the most part, they kind of are. But then sometimes, you get up close to one and you go, how in the world could that ever fly? There's one of the space shuttles is at the Smithsonian, the Garber facility at the Smithsonian. If you ever have the opportunity, you need to go look at it. It is like the scabbiest looking thing ever. Seriously, it's like it's scary. It's like the pieces. It's hard to describe it. It's like it's just kind of mashed together in some places. It's worn out. It's dirty. Pieces, when they replaced a part, they sometimes almost didn't match. When I looked at it the first time, I said that if this were like a plane on a tarmac and you're getting into it as a passenger, okay, well that's on there now. I wouldn't fly in it. I would not. I would be cautious about even going into it. It was just amazingly rough looking. And if you go to this, they also have like an old Mercury capsule and a Gemini capsule. And they're that way too. It's just like these rivets all over the place. And sometimes they look like they're not even riveted right. Okay. I didn't break them anyway. Okay. There's these little holes on the bottom into which the struts attach. And I need to find them and open them. Yes, it's okay. I was able to do this before. I mean, I did it here, here. There it is. The other ones are around here somewhere. There it is. Those have to be opened up because the struts, they're not weight supporting struts. Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was absolutely horrible. How can I describe it? It was like the outside of it is covered with these tiles. And, granted, it had been used, but tiles had been replaced and they didn't quite match, the old tiles that were put on. And there were, in other places where there weren't any tiles, there were like blankets of heat absorbent material. And it looked like that. It looked like a big piece of very, like a heavy canvas blanket had just been sort of stuck on the outside of it. It was frighteningly bad looking. It was frighteningly bad, ugly, messy. It was like it was uncared for or not. I don't know. It's hard to describe. If you can see pictures of it, there are some pictures online. It would be worth looking at, especially if you could get some close up. But spacecraft were kind of like that. If you look on the insides of them, it's crowded. I mean, it really, really cramped. It looks, I can't tell. It's like there might be a little bit of a tear here. It's really hard to tell, but I think the foil tore right there, and so that's another thing I can fix with a patch. And so I'm going to take a piece and just go right across the top of that. I happen to have one here. It's just kind of the perfect length, actually. And I'm going to just stuff it in the corner and kind of wrap it around. But yeah, the insides of these things were not made for comfort. They're just barely habitable. So I don't know, maybe the new ones are better. Like the Mercury capsule, it looks like it's held together with screws and washers. How to describe it any other way? And it worked. It held together. It was airtight and all of that. But wow, not the kind of thing that you would get into if you were taking a flight anywhere. Okay, what I'm doing with this little strip is that what it looks like what happened is when I push the foil down, is that right there in the crease, it tore a little bit. So I'm going to just push this into the crease. In the Gemini capsule, there were two people in there, and it was the most claustrophobic thing I could imagine. It was not much bigger than the Mercury capsule because the boosters that they had then couldn't, they weren't very powerful. And the one on display, the doors are open because they used it. They did extra vehicular activity with it. They actually went out into space. And when looking at it, my impression was I would want those doors open all the time because it was just so claustrophobic, so cramped. Okay. Now I want to use the toothpick I can't find. There it is, the one with the rounded edge. Just to push this up into the crease. Looks better. Looks much more, I mean, as much as anything on this looks finished, it looks finished. Okay, so there's probably going to be some spots that are coming loose here and there. There's another spot where I'd like to put a patch maybe. I'm going to keep doing this. Why not? If I can make it just look a little bit better by putting little patches on it, pushing on it, I'm going to do that. Because the next step is going to be a little scary. Okay. Well, this is looking all right. At some point, I just need to stop messing with it. When I've been building these models, I've in doing minifigs and things, it's like, this is looking okay. And then I see one little thing and it's like, oh, I could make a tiny little bit of improvement. And more than one time, that little bit of improvement has turned into kind of a disaster. I mean, a serious disaster in a couple of cases where I've pretty much had to just redo something, had to like stop and reprime an entire piece, including this, and start over. So I'm going to leave this alone and put these pieces of foil aside and then show what's up next. Yeah. What's up next is all these things got kind of bundled up. These are the sitting down in the capsule astronauts. Okay. Yeah, they look kind of plasticky. This guy came out okay. This is the walking on the moon guy. Even made his pants dirty from the moon dust. Okay, so these things there's only a couple of pieces that get cemented in. Okay, and it's not load bearing. They're there to hold other pieces on. So what I'm thinking of doing, though, to make this look more like the real thing, I'm just going to try this. One of these are the outside struts, the very, very outside. I keep hanging into it. I'm going to break it yet. Yeah. These go in like this, okay, to hold the things, and then go out like this. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there that holds it up. This is supposed to clip on here, which it doesn't do. It's supposed to clip on and stay on. So it's supposed to be a little bit tight going on, right? But not so much that if I force it on, it snaps and breaks. So there, that one fit. So this goes out like that. And then this bit here goes up inside here like this and cements in these little things. It's always good to test fit everything because more often than not, things don't fit. Seriously, more often than not, they don't fit on this model. And so, like, this isn't fitting. You can see what this is going to be like, right? I mean, you get, and now there's a bunch of other pieces that are supposed to fit together. This is supposed to go on like this, and then this is supposed to go in this hole without breaking. And the purpose of this is to keep this from popping off. And the strut, okay, this folds out. So it folds in like this so it can fit in the fairing. And then it's supposed to fold out like that so that it can land on the moon. And then there are two other pieces that fit in here. Okay. So this one actually went down okay. Hopefully it'll come off. This one's not fitting here. I don't know why it's not fitting, but it's not. Maybe it will fit. Maybe each one of these needs to be custom fit in one of these spots. Okay, so I'm doing a couple of things here. One is I'm test fitting these parts and finding out that they really don't fit, okay, which is not a surprise. Hardly anything on this model actually ever fit. These things are theoretically supposed to go on before anything else. Kind of fits here, but they don't go in the holes. The holes need to be. Wow. Okay, this is going to be a thing. Why is there a big flaw in the plastic there? How could I not have caught that? I need better fingers. Thanks for joining in and becoming a follower. I really appreciate it. Dice and Dungeons, watch our D&D show. Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, so this lines up, but it doesn't. They don't fit in the holes. Great. I wonder if any of these are going to work. Well, if I can get these pieces in somehow at some point, will actually be a surprise at this point. So what I'm thinking of doing is, as you can see, the assembly of this is going to be a challenge because the parts just don't fit and it's weird. But what I'm thinking of doing is, I'm just going to use this as like a scrap piece. Okay, is wrapping these struts. See, like that. I've got enough here for like two of them. But that's going to look a lot more like the real thing than what I have now. I'd wrap it right up to the top of that, like this, and just squeeze it around. I don't even have to glue it on. I'm going to do that. I'm going to wrap these like that. Since I got enough of the material now and I don't need it for the rest of the body, because this is looking pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, it turns out that it needs to be about that width. And this one's messed up. I'll probably be able to reuse some of it. So it needs to wrap around, but it can't cover that particular bit. Okay, so maybe I would just cut like a slit in it for that to go through and then wrap around it. But I think that would look pretty decent if I were able to pull that off. And then these, I'm going to, as long as there's enough material, I'm going to wrap these as well. And then these will look more authentic. All these other internal parts, I don't think I can do much with those. Actually, I really don't think I can do much with those because they're just too complicated. That little patch I put on there fell right off. And try again. Let me try again. Because it is a place that needs to be patched. Into something and it gets screwed up. So there's a couple of things that are going on here now. One is the that patch. Come on, sticking. Hey, it's starting to look not so great. So these things need to be. They need to go in here like this, and then they need to cement down here into these holes. And what I'm finding is that they don't fit. They don't fit the holes. I mean, it looked really more than large enough. So this is going to go much more slowly than maybe you would think it needs to, because I'm going to do a couple of things. One is try to get these pieces to fit, which they don't do, okay? And they need to. And the other is that I am going to take the time to wrap the outside struts, the ones that hold these bits. I am going to take the time to wrap those in the gold foil because it's really going to look much better that way. I mean, it really will look much better that way. But even if I can get these to fit, which they're not doing, this clips on here like that. They need to lean forward in order to be doing any good. Oh, man, this is going to be a pain. Okay, and these are really delicate. So what the issue is here is that these there's more than enough room side to side. In fact, way too much. But the way these things are is that they are too high top to bottom. I want to mess with one of these just to see if I can get it to fit, just to see what it takes to make it happen. It's sanding some of the bottom of it, a little tab that goes in, because I want to see how this fits when this strut is on there. There has to be a reason why these pieces exist. And I think what it's supposed to do is keep this from popping off. I'm not sure that it's actually going to do that. This is the one that doesn't fit in every spot. So that fits now. That's the one that's broken. That's like the fourth time that's broken. So I'll have to cement that back on. Now they fit. Just that little bit of sanding. Okay, so that fits on like that. That's actually the way it's supposed to be, I think. And then this clips in like this. Really looks like this should be forward more. Sure that this is serving any real purpose. But this, that's how it's supposed to go. And then this, this has just been broken several times. And whatever I'm using isn't setting. It's not holding it. So, let me try. Maybe I should just get like a little bit of epoxy or something that's supposed to dissolve. It's a solvent that's supposed to dissolve this and weld it, but it's just not doing that. I'm going to use contact cement. I'm just going to do that. It takes a while to harden, but it seems to hold better. Kind of weirdly hold better. Okay. Well, I'm taking a lot of time accomplishing nothing here, but I do have this wrapped. It looks pretty much okay. It looks okay. Pretty good, actually. Maybe there's some little patches I could do on it yet. the more I look, the more I see that there's issues, right? Okay. Well, the next part is like getting these little bits and pieces to fit together and so on. But I'm going to patching. I'm patching a little piece there where the silver is showing. I need a little piece of gold foil. That's gold. Yeah, screw that. I'm going to use this. Stick it there. Okay, so what I'm finding is that these pieces don't fit, but I can make them fit. This broke here. Which one broke? Like the fourth time. And whatever I put on there is not holding it. So I'm going to try this other stuff, this contact cement, because the model cement, which is supposed to weld the plastic together, isn't. It's just not doing it. It's very, very fragile and it keeps breaking. Piece of paper, scrap paper here. And this isn't the if this doesn't work, the only thing I've got left to try is epoxy, and it may come down to that. I may end up just using epoxy. Maybe I should just do that now. This is a little sample tube, which is just about, I would say, ready to be tossed because I've got a full big size tube of it. I don't think this is going to work either. I'm not getting enough of it on there, or it's just too gummy. No, it can't be any worse. So I'll let that deal with itself here for the moment. I think I've got some super glue too. that might work if this doesn't end up holding. The problem with these pieces is that these are what support the entire thing. They support the entire lamp. And if it's broken, well, then it won't support, will it? Okay. Let me clean up a little bit here. I just push things aside. I guess that's cleaning up. But I have decided that wrapping this in the gold foil will actually make it look, it'll make it look more authentic, because the real lem was actually wrapped in this kind of foil. I think I need to yeah, that can't be. Trying to decide if I should see. That's on the outside. That has to be wrapped. So I'm going to cut a piece to length and wrap it and see what I can do about that, because that's where that clamps on to the strut like that, and that it can't be wrapped. And you know, these pieces are really going to be challenging to put together. You know, if this were more flexible, this is supposed to just sort of snap in there, okay? But it's not flexible plastic. It's very brittle, and so if I force this in, it's very likely to snap that off, and then the whole integrity of the model starts fading. Okay, I'm going to strip, slice it. Well, maybe I won't, because then I can cut it up this way. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or not, but if I can get one done, then I can do the rest, right? I think it's possible to do that. Because it's always possible to make things shorter. It's not easy to make them long. You know, the music should be playing now because I stopped talking. Right? I stopped talking because I'm cutting pieces of foil. This is I'm just doing this because I've got the extra foil and the real Lem. These struts were all wrapped in it, and it would just look so much nicer if this were wrapped in it as well. But the way it's assembled, it makes it very challenging. Challenging to do this. Seeing the challenge. I'm cutting a little slit in the slit in the foil. It looks like there's a slit in the foil through which I am sticking this little hook. Bring it tightly this way. If it's on camera, I blocked my view. No, it's not here. The other way. Squeezing it down on there. Okay, well, for some reason that just didn't work at all. Start on the end, kind of work it down. Silver part showing. The gold part showing. Okay, so except for where this hook is, where it's kind of a mess right now, I think I can trim some of that away. I just wasn't careful there. So this looks good up until here. It's really mess around the hook here where the foil just is going every which way. I just try to trim it down. the silvers pieces. Kind of protruding there, but that's easy to fix by just squishing it. This foil is nice and squishy. The first attempt at this, it's not too bad. Mm-hmm. This all has to be cleaned out. There can't the clearance here is 0 to begin with, so there can't be any foil inside the hook or the opening of it. It's to be opened out. Yeah, so just trim this off. Yeah, see, there's big long parts. These are fairly easy to do. You just kind of wrap it around and be somewhat careful with it, and then rotate it like this and get it on there, right around the hook there. You know, it looks a little scabby, but I think this can be done. Okay. I mean, this one, I'm going to take this off because although the top part of it looks pretty good, around the hook here, the technique just didn't work. But I want the foil to be on this side of it. I mean, because the outside has to be foil covered. Try something different. Okay, this is going to come off. It just didn't work well enough. Try this thinner piece. I hope it's big enough. It might be easier to handle. I'm not sure. So this is unnecessary work on this model, but I think it would look good if I could make it work. And the other good part about this is that by trying to get this to work, I am avoiding the task of trying to get these parts to fit. Just, man. Okay. So what I'm going to try to do is wrap it around from the back. There's less of it here. So the amount of is less. Then when it comes up to this bit here where the hook is, that's just barely enough to cover it. Yeah, it needs to be bigger than that, but at least I'm testing the technique of wrapping it up to and around. Yeah, that's going to work. This one might actually be usable. I'm sorry, I got it off camera there. Yeah, it was a much thinner piece. I just brought it up and wrapped it up and around. And then there's just a little bit of work that needs to be done. Hook is to like push it in, or maybe even cut it off. But this is really worth doing. This looks way better than just the gold painted. And if I can get this done on all 4 of these struts, one of them with the ladder is going to be really. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. If I can get this on all 4 of them, including the one with the ladder, it'll just look so much more like the real thing, because these struts were wrapped in the gold foil on the real deal. Just got to deal. I've got to somehow deal with the hook here, where the clearances are next to nil to begin with, in terms of attaching the parts. And the foil inside of it isn't helping. It's really thin, though. It shouldn't make a big difference. What did that take? Forever. It took forever to get this one done. But now I know it can be done. I'm going to take a break. And the break will be longer than I promise. I like to get back in a half an hour, and then something comes up. There's always something that comes up during break that makes the break longer. So I can't guarantee that I'll be back in a half an hour, but I will make an effort to do that. Hopefully that contact cement will set. And I may try to do some assembly on this now that the foil is on it. This actually came out about like I was hoping it would. Whether I can replicate this 3 more times or not, I do not know. I'll be finding out. I hope I can. It'd be really good if I can. Prodding at this to try to get the foil out of the way of the opening. Okay, so there's that. that came out decent. So what I'm going to do is see these things here that don't fit very well in, they're supposed to go in like this. And yeah, see, that's the one problem, is I can't hold things at the same time. I'm trying to get things to fit. These are supposed to go in here and here. None of them fit. They're supposed to go on like that. That one fits pretty well. What is supposed to happen is that those get like cemented in. I'm tempted to just not. I'm going to put a little bit of contact cement in those holes. Anyway, there's 4 of them. They're supposed to go on like that. And I will probably do that. You know, they're not load bearing. It's not popping out. Maybe. Okay, well, let me see what happens with the next one. No, I mean, that one's just sticking, right? Maybe they'll do that. Maybe I won't have to cement them in. Maybe I just need to put them in. Doesn't quite fit in the hole. Okay, well, here, instead of taking a break, I'm going to mess around with this. I'm going to get 2 out of 4 in. And they're not, like I said, they're not load bearing, which is kind of surprising because it looks like they should be. But they don't do anything other than just sit there. And if it's not popping out and they're not load bearing, why not just let them sit there, right? If it's just happy to be there. Yeah, I mean, it's just happy to sit there, right? They're just like that. Let's do one more. Why not? What could go wrong? I'm not doing the last one because that's where I put some contact cement. Look at my fingers not working. Good job not working, fingers. Needs to be sanded down a little bit. That fits. Just a little bit on the bottom there. See, the thing about this is that before I take break, I can say, look, I did something. I assembled something. That doesn't always happen. I'm going to put this one in. Why not? Why not do it? Okay, so what I have accomplished today, I know it doesn't look like much, but it is that I got the gold foil wrapped from here around these struts around this protuberance, around these struts up to this seam here. You can see there's a seam, but why not? I mean, there were seams on the real thing. And I got 3 of the 4 of these things put in. Maybe I'll put the last one in too. Why not? If I can find it. Did I lose one? Huh. Okay. How can I put it in if I can't find it? Where did it go? Oh, where did it? Good grief. What's the deal? How could I lose a piece? No, there it is. Oh my. That was silly. That's a silly thing. Let's see. It wouldn't actually hurt to do this if this one fits, because this needs to be like pushed up anyway. There. Oh, damn it. Ugh. I have to be really careful not to push anything else. It's just too easy to, with all these little protuberances and stuff, and they're all fragile. Okay, look, I did assembly. Okay, they're not cemented in, but they're also not coming out. Okay, they're not breaking, they're not coming out. That's a good thing. They all look kind of like they should. Okay, they're not popping out. The gold foil is more or less staying in place. It's peeling little bits here at the top, and that's just going to be it. And so I got those in place. That's a good thing. I think according to the instructions, that was one of the these things snap on, but that's going to be easy to do. And then these go in place, and then these big struts connect. Well, putting those on that is a thing, but I can probably do this. I can probably attach those after break. And then what I'm doing is a significant cosmetic improvement. I am wrapping these outside struts in the gold foil so that, and I'm going to do the same thing with these things at the bottom, these little landing pads. But if I can do this 3 more times on the other struts, it really will look much better than if I didn't. If I were like selling this for $1,000 to somebody later or whatever, I'd wrap all of these. I'd wrap all of these in the gold foil like they should be. But I'm not, and so I'm not going to. There's some loose foil here. It's always something. There's always a little bit of something. And in this case, it's gold foil that needs some more rubber cement on it. Okay. Eventually, I'm going to take a break. I mean, seriously, I am. Eventually, it's going to happen. Gotcha. Eventually, I will take my break. Eventually, I'll be back from break. And I will, in just a second, I'll tell you what I'm going to do when I get back. When I get back, I am going to wrap 3 more of these in gold foil because it will look better if I do. And then after those are wrapped in gold foil, I'm going to attach the things on the bottom. Those are these go in like this. No, apparently they go in like this. breaking. Huh. Yeah, without breaking like that. There, I attached one. So I'll attach those. And then, yeah, this whole thing, wow. Yeah, it's interesting how that's all going to work. So those will be yet more little bits of things that will be dangerously dangling that look like they can easily break off. Yep. Not here. I already started it. Let's finish it. Let's see if I can just get all of these in. My break is going way late. I am missing the opportunity for my break. But I am increasing the opportunity to break something in this model. Yep. Let's see if I can break something before break. Let's just hold our breath. It's going to break. You have a break. I'm glad these things are reversible, right? Otherwise, I'd be, man. Okay, so these are going to dangle, and then these little pieces are not going to fit into the other pieces, and they're going to need to be sanded down, which would be really easy to do if they weren't attached, but I attached them. So there I go, not planning far enough ahead for, I didn't plan far enough ahead for a problem. So the problem will be a ever so slightly bigger problem than it needed to be. Okay, well, I've got dangly bits all over the place here that I am really working hard at not breaking. Okay, I'm going to very much not break this by putting it very much out of the way. Bringing out this, and then see this. I'm going to do this on these three pieces. This, and if I'm successful at that, then I will do it as well. Okay. I'm gonna show this by moving the camera. Thin foil. It's all crinkly, just like the real thing. Yeah, it came out okay. So far, it's looking pretty good. So yeah, I'm going to wrap these. This wrap, I don't know if I can do it again. It came out okay. It came out so well. I'm concerned about replicating it. So yeah, do that with this foil, and then wrap those. But I'm going to do that after break because I, at this point, actually really do need to take a break. Yeah, break in half. It does look really fragile. The really weird part about it is that all these really little fragile bits, all these tiny little dangly fragile bits, are what holds it up. And I'm actually quite concerned that it is. I'm kind of concerned that it's not going to go the way it's supposed to. But there isn't any choice. That's how the actual LEM was built, and that's how the model is built as well. Fortunately, it's very light. So that's good. I'm going to store it this way. Okay, I'm going to let the dangly bits be up on top, like that, because just every opportunity for breakage. I have broken two of them, 2 bits. I broke one of these things on the top a couple of times, and hopefully I've got a an adhesive on there that's going to hold finally. And I broke, I think, one of these struts in one spot. Well, you would think it would be poor engineering, but it actually was very effective because that's how the actual lunar module for the Apollo program was designed, and it successfully landed on the moon 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 6 times. It worked 6 times. So I don't know. 1960s engineering was just really impressive because these things did impossible stuff over and over again with materials that we wouldn't even imagine using anymore today. No computing power, okay, and it just kept working. And now we can't even make reaction control jets that work. I don't know. Go figure. Well, I didn't break any of that, so I'm going to take a break and then come back and fiddle around with these struts and wrap them in the gold foil like this one. And it'll be like a 50-50 chance for each one, so it'll probably take the rest of the stream. And we'll just see how it goes. I'll just see how it goes. The last part is going to be the most scary part. And that's attaching these on these hooks here like this. And they just don't even come close to working or fitting. Not even close. And then once that's done, then these, they just go on the ends here like that. Which I say should be simple, but it's not going to, because the holes in the holes are too small for the little prongs. Okay, so they don't necessarily go on. Well, that one did. Huh. Well, maybe I shouldn't complain about it until it's time to complain. Okay, break is 20 minutes late. I'll be back in roughly a half hour. Wrap these guys in gold foil. Do the same with the landing pads. And then, depending on how it's going and whether I'm feeling brave and whether parts fit or not, I'll continue to assemble the landing gear, the landing struts for the LEM. It's the last part to do on this, and it's like one of the most difficult because the parts just don't fit very well. So I'm tempted to put it off. I'm tempted to put it off until the week after next when I get back from my next trip. At the beginning of the week, I thought I would get all of this done on Monday, but it was just like one thing after the other. One thing after the other. Ich bin's in Germany. Well, it was designed for the moon. That's true. Gravity is 1/6 as much there. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. Cool. My son and daughter-in-law live in Berlin, and we visited them several times. I really like it a lot. I'm not sure where you are, but I'm really glad they're living there because it's really been a lot of fun to visit. Well, for you, it is almost dinner time. You've never been? Where are you from? Where are you living? Yeah, the what we get, the Lyft drivers or the taxi drivers joke that there aren't any Germans living in Berlin. And it's almost true. In the neighborhood where our son and daughter-in-law live, I'd say like a third of the people are actually German and everybody else is from everywhere else. It's really cosmopolitan. It's great fun. Okay, well, now my body is telling me you better take a break before it's too late. Oh, wow. Okay. You live on it's amazing. You live on an island. Okay. Well, if you're back after break, I hope you stay on, or you can take a break and come back in about a half an hour. I'd like to hear more about that. We were in Lübeck once. We visited Lübeck, which is north. I don't know if it's anywhere near where you are, but that was we did that for Christmas markets. It was really cool. But I have to take a break. I really do. So I'll be back in roughly a half hour. Yeah. Okay. The end break button didn't work at first. Well, this is coming along okay today, very slowly. I am going to be, I don't know, the completion of the descent stage of the lunar module is going to taking a week longer than I thought it would, basically. But it's looking okay in terms of paint. The gold foil is pretty good. The attempt to wrap these struts in gold foil worked on one, and I've got a goodly supply of it here to use, and I've just got everything cluttered. Just everything's cluttered here. So I'm just taking a few minutes to sort of clean up, and usually after break when I get back, I find that my focus is a little bit less than it should be. My eye-hand coordination isn't all that great, and I've got a couple of things left to do on this. Not a whole lot, but some of them are really these things. Okay, these things need to clip into the tops here. They don't fit. It's going to require some manipulation, and they're really fragile. And the same thing is true of these parts here, which are supposed to just clip right in, there, right? But they won't. They're not. These things aren't even round. Okay, much less clipping in. You can see it's going to take some effort to get those in, and these are fragile as well. So I know what's going to happen is that if I do that while I'm not well focused, there's a really good chance I could break something. So even though it's going to end up just taking a whole lot longer to get this done than I wanted it to, probably one stream longer, okay? But it's going to take a long time to get these last bits attached. Okay, and that's for each of those struts. One of these needs to go on here, like that, and then this needs to clip on there, like that. Both of those clip-ons are really difficult to do. The last bit is just hooking these on, which is okay as long as the holes are big enough, like that one isn't quite. Okay, that's the last bit. That shouldn't be too hard to do. But in the interim, those last two clip-ons are so delicate that I'm not going to do them today no matter what. So I'm going to do some things that are not dangerous, although they might be a little frustrating, and that is, even though this one worked really well, I don't know if the rest will, is I'm going to wrap these in the gold foil. And I've got a fair amount of gold foil here, so like I said, it's not real dangerous thing to do in that something really awful could happen. In the meantime, I'm just going to let this sit here like this. Well, you know what I could do, since it has to be done eventually anyway. If I want to do some assembly, I can do this. I can get the rocket nozzle attached. Why not? There, and I mean, then it would look like it's even more done. Or maybe not. Maybe during the assembly of this, I'm going to have to turn it over and let it set on. Okay, let's not make it more difficult in the future. I'm going to not make the future more difficult than it absolutely needs to be. The gold paint on these came out pretty nicely, but the real things were wrapped in foil, this gold foil kind of thing, and it will really look much more authentic if I can do that. So I'm going to try. So I can get 2 out of this. I'm going to cut it down the center. Just measure. Take my glasses off so I can see what I'm doing. I said before, if it's a little long, that's good. Because if it's a little short, then that's a problem. But if it's a little longer than it needs to be, then it's not a problem. I'm actually just going to there it is. Measure this. I'm going to cut this and then cut it in half. I'll have 2 pieces. 60. Okay. Measured it wrong. Being quiet today. I should. We were talking earlier about engineering and how this doesn't seem to be that well engineered, but it was, because it was able to take people to and from the moon 6 times. Okay, I mean, it was an extremely successful thing. It looked really bizarre. Everybody thought it was really funny because it doesn't look like a spaceship. It's not streamlined or anything, but people in the 60s and 69 and 68, when the LEMs first came out, we were introduced to them. That's a spaceship, and it was like, yeah. But remember 2 things. One is that it's operating in a vacuum. Okay, not only in space but on the moon as well. It's a total vacuum, so it doesn't exactly need to be streamlined because there's no streamlining involved. It's just in a vacuum, and so it just needed to be functional. and hold together and keep the astronauts safe. So there was that. That was pretty neat. And the other is that it was working on the moon, so it was 1/6 gravity. So as we were saying earlier, the landing struts look really fragile, and they are. They're real spindly and fragile, relatively speaking. It was fine for the lunar landing, but it isn't that great for model building, I'll say, because they're spindly and fragile. The model is spindly and fragile as well, and that just makes it harder to build because they're spindly and fragile. And then they were wrapped in this gold foil. I mean, the real lunar module was wrapped in gold foil. It was real gold, not whatever this is, which isn't real gold. Colored. It is gold colored foil. I think, because it protected it against radiation and all sorts of things that are hazardous and dangerous up there in space. Yeah. So the thing when the LEM came out and it said it didn't look like a spaceship, it was like, this is what spaceships really look like, because they operate in a vacuum without either in real space, zero gravity. There's no gravity, right? So that things don't need to be as robust as they need to be when they're like holding themselves up against gravity. But yeah, and so the LEM gave us a look at what things in space would look like. Okay, so that came out not too bad. When I roll it like this, it's not too bad. I need to clean it up here under where the hook is, because as I said before, the clearances there are really minimal. There's not much room to work with when is supposed to slide in there, and having the foil in the way doesn't help. So I may end up at some point just kind of trying to cut away some of that foil. Sure, I'll do it. The foil that's inside this little hole will need to be like clipped away. But that's the kind of thing that I will probably save for the moment when it comes time to actually get these parts to fit together, as opposed to try to do it now at the end of the stream. But then again, we'll see how this goes. If there's some time left, I might try. Just need to get a really sharp object, a really tiny little sharp object, which should be the points of these scissors, but isn't, to snip the foil away from the inside. That's how I'll do it. I'll just push it out. Push it out like that, and then I can snip it off. There, that worked. Okay. So it's not a perfect wrap. Some of the silver is showing, but is much more authentic in terms of its appearance than if I just left it the gold paint without wrapping it like this. There's 2 done. I'm saving the hardest one for the end. What do I mean by the hardest one? What I mean is this one. This one's got brackets for the ladders. I think I'm going to wrap that in like 2 steps instead of just one piece of foil like this that goes all the way around. I think what I'm going to do with that is do 2 different steps and then leave these places where the ladder gets bracketed on uncovered. That's good. Let's knock stuff around. So it's a good thing I didn't cut a 3rd piece, right? Because it's been a real waste of foil. Okay, there. This one, this one is the same deal. I found that by rolling it up like this, like halfway, that made it easier. Oh, there it is. Okay. It also helps to actually have the part. Okay. Well, the other one went too well. Okay. It worked. It went fine. And then, of course, because that one went fine, I got confident and thought, well, this one will go fine too. Guess it what? It didn't. Nope. It didn't go fine. It didn't go horrible, but it's not going as well as the other one did. And I'm putting a little too much pressure on some parts of it where I shouldn't have been. Okay, take a deep breath. Just relax. It'll come around. Okay. Just take one's time. Take your time and do it right. Just roll it on, squeeze it down. The same thing back down here. Yeah, it's kind of a mess here. This became a mess, but it's fixable. About anything interesting today? Well, I shouldn't say that. I usually don't talk about anything interesting. I haven't talked about the usual uninteresting things that I usually talk about. time ago, I was talking about, oh, this is not good right there. I might have to do this one over. The other one went so well that I got overconfident, I guess. And now there's a gap in the foil right there. I'm going to take a little bit of foil, use a bit of foil. Maybe I can use this. This might work if I can squeeze it on and squish this onto where it needs to be. Maybe I'll put a little rubber cement on it or something. I'm not sure. But it needs to go right there, and it needs to just kind of stick there. Just cement some on. So this is mostly okay, but then there's a gap in the foil right there that shows pretty significantly. Right there next to the hook, right behind the hook, where I cut it. I cut it a little bit to wrap around it, and it failed. So I'm gonna try to patch it. Okay, I'm gonna try a patch, and hopefully that will work. Put any cement or adhesive on this at all. But in this particular case, I'm going to need to because it's just this little piece that I want to stick on just the outside of it. I can't. It can't be wrapped all the way around because then it would cover up the thing I don't want to cover up. This. Hopefully this will work. It's worked bad. Like it's working. It's working until. Okay. Yeah, this is as I said, the time of the stream when things start to go a little bit poorly because I lose focus. What I mean by that is that just things slip up. Okay, there's just slip ups. Literally, what happened there was the tweezers slipped. That's a word that's way overused, literally. people literally do not know what literally means. It's overused in a non-literal sense. That, that's going to be okay, given things are going here at the end of the stream. I have to do some little bit of trimming of the excess around here. It is not sticking. Good grief. Why is it not sticking? Sticky stuff. The sticky stuff should stick. As much as I can see with my unaided eye, it's not perfect. Yeah, that came out mostly okay. There's going to be excess here getting much in the way of the assembly of this. I need these scissors have the promise of this really nice point, that should cut just perfect, right? And they don't. But I think I need to leave that until it's time to try to put it together, and then I can at that point make removal of little bits of foil as necessary to make it fit. In the meantime, I'm trying to get this rubber cement to actually adhere, and it should, but it's not at all. Not in the least. It didn't stick. Okay, I'm going to be. I'm going to just. Fortunately, if I mess this up, and there's a good chance I can mess it up, I have enough foil and enough time that I can fix the problem. I'm going to use contact cement instead of the rubber cement because it just holds much better. When I'm trying to patch, it's this tiny little patch I'm trying to make there. Stuff adheres. It sticks. I lose all my toothpicks. Got all sorts of things here except the thing I need, which is a toothpick. I got some here. Back of this with contact cement. The place onto which it will go. Just a few seconds. And then make an effort to put it in place, which is to say right there on the edge, right on the edge of the hook. This one took a long time. The one before this went way too easily. It just zip, zip. No, it came out really well, just like that. And then this one didn't, just like that. Got one more to go. Yeah, these will need a little adjusting maybe later. This one I'm going to do, I'm going to wrap here and here as two different sections because of the brackets that are on here for the ladder. I just can't work around those really, so I won't try. I should just I'm going to put these in the box. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this in the box. These are the last pieces that will be attached. And I'm going to put these other gold foiled ones in the box so that I don't do that. Okay, I don't disasterate them. Cut one piece out and cut it in half. So the LEM, yeah, I managed to accomplish some things today. On Monday, I managed to unaccomplish things. What I mean by that is that I actually ended up further behind Monday than when I started Monday. Seriously, that's what happened because I just made a huge mess of the paint. There was a tiny little flaw on the bottom of the descent stage in the gold paint. And I thought, well, this will be easy to fix. I'll just sand it out. It was a lump, basically. I'll just sand it out and repaint it. So I sanded it out, and that was successful. It was pretty easy to do. Just needed to, rub out the problem part. And then when I repainted it by spraying the gold paint on it, okay, that would have been easy too. You would think that, spraying a little bit of paint on something would be pretty straightforward, right? It was. Spraying the paint on was pretty straightforward. The thing that was unanticipated was that the paint, dissolved the paint underneath it, alligatored it, made it look just absolutely awful. And then the only thing I could do is what I ended up doing, which was to remove the paint from the bottom of the lem. I spent a lot of time rubbing at that with isopropyl alcohol and a paper towel. That was great fun. But it did accomplish what it needed to accomplish, which was that it removed the paint well enough so that I could repaint it. And I was careful at that point, thanks to Ole Brager, who suggested this before repriming it. Test the primer to make sure it doesn't dissolve the paint, because that would have made it even worse. So I did. I tested it, and it didn't dissolve the paint. Yay, hooray! That was good. But then I just lost a whole day. So on Wednesday, Wednesday, I got done part of what I was hoping to have gotten done on Monday. I had every belief, I sincerely believed that when I started on Monday, that I would have finished the lunar module no later than Wednesday. I thought there was even a chance it could be done on Monday. As it's turned out, it didn't get done on Monday, and it didn't get done on Wednesday. And it's not getting done today because I am doing this extra stuff. I'm doing this extra stuff of wrapping the exterior struts, okay, in this gold foil, even though the instructions don't say to do that. But because when I looked at a picture of the real lunar module, it was these parts were wrapped in gold foil, and I do have to say that it does look a lot better with it on. It wasn't torn. It was just I'm accumulating debris. Okay, this is silly, but I'm going to do this up here, right at the top. Doing things that I think will make it look better if I can pull it off. Which I apparently am not accomplishing. What did I do here? How could I have taken a nice little simple piece of foil and just mangle it like that? I don't know how I accomplished that. I was able to make a mess of something that should not have been possible. No, that was highly skilled mess making. I'm just trying to wrap this around here. Not, is it not going? Okay, so this little bit of something, this little bit of extra detail, it's just always like that, isn't it? Is ending up taking like 5 times longer than it possibly could, and it's not coming out very well either. And this, how could this possibly go wrong? It couldn't possibly go wrong. That's probably why it did. This okay. This is just going to be. I'm going to deal with that later. What I mean by that is that that little piece of foil just became useless. So I'm going to try it again later with another piece. After this, what have I got? It's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Even by my standards of things taking longer than I thought they would, this is taking longer than I thought it would. Tomorrow is another day. So I'm going to remind everybody I'm going to be gone next week. So there won't be any streams of any nature, relaxing or not. Well, I'm gone. A week from Monday, I will be back and I will be painting minifigs. Apollo is just going to have to wait because we have minifigures that we need for our Dungeons and Dragons campaign, because Dyson Dungeons is all about Dungeons and Dragons. And this whole thing of relaxing painting and everything is just like a spin-off, a byproduct. That's a good word. It's not even I don't even call it a spin-off. It's just a byproduct of the Dungeons and Dragons show, because we use minifigs and dungeon tiles on the show, and we painted them and decided, or DM anyway, decided that it would be good to show the painting as part of the promotion of the Dungeons and Dragons show. So that's what I'm doing. And Apollo is a byproduct of that. But for the first time in quite some time, first time in quite a while, we have minifigs that we need for the show. And those minifigs are going to be painted on this stream starting a week from Monday. Good grief. One of the dogs is going absolutely insane upstairs. And I hope it's because they're playing and not because something is wrong. You can't hear it because the microphone here is set to filter out all the sounds, and it does a great job of that. I think it'd be more interesting if it wasn't, and people could hear like the furnace running, the sump pump buzzing, the dog barking. Okay, I really want to do that up on top here, just that little bit. So I'm going to try again. Here I am trying again, cutting out a little piece of foil here, and trying again. I'm going to cut out a longer piece. This is way too long, but I'll cut it down and use the rest for patches or something. Hopefully a longer piece will give me a little bit more control. It'll just wrap around several times instead of like once or something. At least that's the hope. And then I want to wrap these foot pads, and I'm going to run out of time, which is probably just as well. I run out of time in this stream to do that, but I want to get at least one done just to prove to myself. What am I going to prove to myself? I'm going to prove to myself that it's possible to do it. It's a proof of concept. It's a prototype sort of thing. Longer. I'm just going to wrap the whole thing around it. What the heck? Only needs to look at the south side. There. So this came out okay. Yeah, wrapping these, is it's helpful. It's just going to make it look once in fact this is assembled, and at least in theory it should be possible to assemble it without breaking it. So in like a month, well, see, because I'm gone next week, and the week after I'm going to be painting minifigs, and then the week after that, okay, so several weeks from now. Hi, welcome back. 3 weeks from now I'll be finishing this, but next week I'll be gone, and then the week after that I'm going to be painting minifigures for a Dungeons and Dragons show. So you said you've been to Lubeck, Lubeck was the only time we've been there was in the winter for the Christmas markets, but it was just the right size for perfect Christmas markets. I just really loved it there. Been to some bigger ones, like the ones in Berlin or Erfurt. I think I'd been to one, and they're pretty amazing. But just being able to get around and feel too terribly crowded. I thought Lubeck was a beautiful city. Okay, I'm not sure how far I'm going to get here, but I want to try to wrap at least one of these. And I'm just going to do a square, because I'm pretty much just going to be pushing this on. And what I might do is cover, not too worried about the outside. I'm going to pull it and fold it over. I think I'm going to put contact cement on the inside of this, maybe, just to hold it in. But I want to make sure I'm cutting it big enough so that it wraps all the way. So, since I've still got enough material to work with, I think that's about the size I need. I'd rather, like I keep saying, I'd rather have too much and trim it down than end up having too little. At least I don't have to be, careful about having really nice, sharp, clean edges, because this is going to be, oh, hi, Who. Nice of you to join in right near the end. Near the end of everything. Let me finish cutting this out, and then I'll do a flip. It's for tradition. Ich bin's. It's a tradition to do flips. I don't know why, but it somehow it just started and continued. And so I have things that I flip. Okay, and this should be enough. And yeah, I'm just going to pull it up and around and in, push it in. Hopefully it will hold. Here, I'll flip this. To sear or not to sear? That is the question. You're really back. Oh, it's like 7:00 your time. Why are you still working at 7:00? No, it's almost 8. I won't ask. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's the flip. And it's a tradition, at least once in the show, as long as Who shows up, to do a flip or multiple flips like that. So I'm going to be gone next week because of more travel. Then I'll be back. And when I get back, I'm going to be painting minifigures, little minifigs for our Dungeons and Dragons show. This is authentically crumpled. Yep. I should have measured the square. Let me do that. Okay. There's nothing worse than tidy. Well, not, I can't say that. There's plenty of things that are worse than tidying up, but tidying up isn't all that pleasant. I just measured it and then I didn't note what the size was. 45. I want to write that down. So, are you DMing or are you just hosting? And since you are a D&D player, if you can, even if you can't possibly do it anyway. Check out our Dungeons and Dragons campaign on YouTube. I think you would enjoy it, even if you just watched a couple of episodes. Okay. Yeah, DMing. I tried DMing like a couple of sessions once, and to be honest, I'm not very good at it. So, I wasn't encouraged to continue being a DM, but our DM is amazing. He has put together a tremendous campaign in an incredible world. It's just really amazing and incredible. I'll say that again. I will be redundant in my description. But yeah, if you have a chance, I'd really encourage you to check out our D&D show. No? Oh, okay. Well, I understand. It's designed to be entertainment, and it really is. But I understand if you don't like to do that. If you come back, and I'd hope that you could, if you can come back a week from Monday when I'm working on the minifigs, I'd like to hear about your campaign. It's always fun and interesting in a learning experience to hear about other people's experience with Dungeons and Dragons. I've only got like about 20 minutes left here today. But Yeah, I'd like to hear about your campaign. Okay. Well, a week from Monday, not this Monday, because I'm gone next week. But the week after this Monday, a little more than a week from now, yeah, I'd look forward to hearing your story. Well, this came out okay. Okay. It's especially nice and crinkly on the top, which is how the real thing looked. So there's that. Maybe I'll be able to get these done yet this stream. I might go a little long just to finish it. Okay. I think I don't need to make them quite as big. I'm going to make it 40 by 40. It's this. Just cut 2 out of here. I was making a 45, and this just happens to be almost exactly that. So, yeah, I'm just going to cut 2 of them off of here. They'll be a little bit big, but then I only have to make like 2 cuts to get 2 of them. Yeah. Things always get kind of ragged after break. They just do. Again, as long as I don't end up wasting a lot of this, there's more than enough material to wrap the other landing pads. Look, this turned out really pretty well, you know. And when the strut goes onto it, yeah, it'll look a lot more authentic. Sorry about that. You go. So it's nice to have this extra material. And the gold paint was nice, and it came out okay. But they look, it just looks so much better with the foil on it. I'm looking forward then to hearing about your campaign. I'm glad that you're able to start a new one after you finish the old one. Oh, okay, sure. Let me put my glasses on so I can actually see. That's, it's okay. So as a DM, as we have found, it's sometimes okay to lose control of the story and just let your players run amok. We, in our campaign as players, have, much to the chagrin, I'll use that word, of our DM, have run amok quite often. And for us, it's been great fun as we pursue the perfect pretzel. Why, you might ask, in a D&D campaign, are we pursuing the perfect pretzel? Well, because that's what we as characters decided we were going to do. And so off we went. but it's kind of fun to do that. But yeah, you learn a lot by being a DM more than once, and so I'm glad that it went well. But our DM has played Pathfinder as well. I haven't. Just been playing D&D. Actually, I am old enough that my first D&D games were in the 1970s. It was like 2 years after maybe less than 2 years, maybe like the first year it came out, pretty much. I actually have the first boxed D&D set. 2 minutes? Yeah, that is. You know, we on our campaign usually take like 10 minutes before we totally derail whatever the DM was trying to do. But that's what makes the game fun, you know, is that you can create a scenario, a situation for your players, and then they just do stuff. You know, sometimes in an unexpected fashion, hopefully, you know, in a fun way, so that they're not being destructive. That can happen too, is that the players can just get nasty. But if you've got a really good, fun group of people who enjoy each other's company, that kind of thing can be really pretty cool. You know, where the players just decide to take matters into their own hands, I guess, is one way of putting it. Yeah, it is that way. Because we're running a show, you know, we're trying to be entertaining. We in our campaign have tended to be, we've allowed modifications to the rules in order to maintain the entertainment value of what we were doing. I guess I'll put it that way. It's maybe a nice way of describing what happens. But yeah, Pathfinder, from what little I know of it, can be that way, and I think that's fine. That can makes gameplay more consistent and predictable. Push this bit down onto here to cover up that silver spot. That was the intent anyway. So a week from Monday, I'm going to hear, and anybody who's joining in can see it in chat, how the campaign has been going, and a little bit maybe about how the new campaign is going to go, about what you have in mind. It'll be fun to hear about how the players managed to totally get off track practically at the same time you started. What our DM has learned, but still never changes, is that a lot of us have played, you know, online games, ancient online games, in which every item that you run into might have a potential future use. And so everything gets picked up and put into inventory. And that really kind of leads us down, as you say, down the rabbit hole, kind of, because it's like, I mean, you have to have things show up in the game. Right? You can't just not have, you can't have a barren environment. But when anything shows up in our game, we have to have it. So we have spent on more than one occasion. Yeah, oh, arithmetic, yes. That's actually a good way for people to learn things like multiplication and division, because you go, oh, I learned it in school and I do a word problem and it's stupid. Like, who cares if a train A starts here at, this speed and train B starts here? Where will they run into each other, causing a massive collision and environmental devastation? Who cares about that, right? But if you're playing a game, that's a really good, um, you know, it doesn't even feel like arithmetic then, right? It's not like you're doing a lesson. It's just you're figuring out whether or not um, you survived that particular attack. And that's an important thing. It has a real pragmatic implications. So that's a good idea. Arithmetic teachers should learn that way. Anyway, I started playing D&D within the first year after it came out, and still have the original in mint condition box set. The first box set that came out, which was not quite, the little envelope that was the original game, but old enough so that the dice were still what they call them, crayon dice or something, because the spots had to be filled in with a crayon or a marker or something in order to see them. Anyway, yeah, it's on a shelf. The game was really much simpler at the beginning. Yes, or you can start teaching elementary school arithmetic, or at least talk to some teachers and make that suggestion. Is that the practical application of numbers might be a life or death thing for your character in your game. Actually, I'm tempted to do this. I'm going to give this a try. Yeah. So I've told this story before, but you haven't heard it, so I'll tell it again. Is that people are streaming their D&D games now. When this thing first came out, cable TV, believe it or not, cable TV had just come out too. Oh, this is going to work. What I'm looking at is the very top here is this strut goes into it like this. Okay. And the clearances are enough that I can, yeah, that's going to work. I put a piece over the top and just punch a hole in it like that. And then the whole thing is covered. Okay. That's pretty good. So if you were to see the real lunar module, I know this looks all kind of crinkly and everything. The real lunar module, the one that's in the Smithsonian, is like this. It looks like this. And so this is actually not just scuzzy looking. Well, I'm not a good teacher either. I discovered that the hard way by trying to teach a couple of times, but using math, using arithmetic in a real setting, like a game, that's a real setting. Just says, yeah, It's not a drudge. It's not a chore. Okay. Well, I'm not going to do those now. I'm going to do that when I actually put that on. I'm going to take a little bit bigger piece like this so that it overlaps more. But that turned out okay to cover the cap like that. I think that came out all right. And I've got these little pieces of scrap, so I don't even have to waste terribly much more of the Mylar to do that. Not the Mylar, but the foil. We need to cut one more square out of here. And yeah, I'm going to go over a little bit, but I want to wrap this one. And then having tested it on here, I'm convinced that covering the very top of it, you see where the gold plastic shows here, that is a big improvement. It really finishes it off. Pretty nice. Okay, thank you. But yeah, what I was saying is that cable TV had just started then. And here in the States, cable TV was required to have at least one channel available to anybody in the community to do anything, the public access channel. And so on Friday nights or Saturday, maybe it was Saturday. Yeah, I think it was. Okay, this just tells you something about the kind of people I hung out with. So this was like in 1973, no, 74 maybe. What do you do on a Friday or Saturday night? You go to the public access channel of your cable station. You get 2 cameras, a little studio at the university, right? And play a Dungeons and Dragons game. We actually did. And so these people who are streaming D&D now, I was doing it in 1974 or 75. The dice roll, we didn't have any close-ups. We had 2 cameras, both of which were huge and at a distance. So in order to show the dice rolls, we made a wheel, a spinning wheel thing, 1 to 20, and give it a spin. And that's how we did our dice rolls on the TV show. I don't know if anybody ever watched it. There was no way to tell. It was just it was being broadcast, I guess. Not really broadcast. It was on the public access cable channel. And anybody who had cable, what I'm guessing is that since it was like a Friday or Saturday night, that there were some people somewhere getting really drunk who said, "This is really stupid. Let's watch these people. These people play this stupid game on this stupid TV channel." And I'm guessing that that's probably our audience, but it was actually quite fun. So we did that for like 2 or 3 hours on a Friday night and took a break and ordered pizzas. It was, yeah, kind of like that. It was more like what they call a Wheel of Fortune. It was mounted up on the wall. And it was high tech. It was made out of cardboard or a piece of plywood or something. And just so people could see the dice roll, and so we'd aim a camera at the wheel that was up on the wall and gave it a spin and spun around. It didn't spin all that well, but it did. It did give a spin, and then we would see the result of the roll. And that's all we were using was the D equivalent of the D20. But it was kind of fun to do that. everybody, we all started out as like level one, and so what we're running into knolls in the forest, and it was no more sophisticated than that. But I have to say that I'm very proud of the fact that I was a party to probably one of the very, very first televised D&D games ever, probably. Kind of fun to reminisce about that. There were like 6 of us, maybe. Um, what we did when we needed a D6 or a D8. Maybe we divided. Okay, this goes on here. That's just going to need a little bit of adhesive, I think, to hold. I don't remember. I do remember the D20 on the wall, though. Sometimes I would play a little bit. Other times I would work one of the cameras. There are 2 cameras, and we had like a producer who decided which of the 2 cameras would be sent out over the cable or not. Well, that was a test, and it worked. We get over we'd hear this instruction. Camera 2, focus on the wheel. Camera 1, look at player 1. There wasn't much to look at. Okay, there was the wheel, and there were the players, and that was it. Okay. Just the wheel and the players, and why there was an issue which where you should put the cameras, and sometimes one of the cameras didn't work because it was just public access TV, and so this was just crappy stuff that was left over from classroom use. It wasn't even real production use, so it wasn't really sophisticated, but it was just a lot of fun. And I can reminisce about playing Dungeons and Dragons on television, because that's what it was then, before there practically was such a thing. It was really kind of cool. Okay, what I'm doing here is wasting a little more time, and I have to stop soon because I'm starting to make a mess. No, you can't really do that. I think actually we had another wheel. Now that I'm remembering things, I'm sort of remembering things. I think we had a D6 wheel. I know we used the D20, for attack rolls and just real basic stuff. But for damage, I think we had another wheel, and that's why the camera had to move. Okay, well, thank you. I'm reminiscing now, and as I'm reminiscing, I'm remembering things like, since you asked the question, what did you do? Is that we had another wheel, and then when we spun the D6, the camera had to aim in a different place, and we saw the result of the spin. Okay, because I know we were able to do it somehow, and that must have been how we did it. It didn't go on for a long time. I think we did that for like 3 or 4 months, and then I don't know what happened. Either people lost interest, or it's even possible that we lost access to the studio. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't remember ever rolling a D8 for anything. squeezing this down in here like this. I coated both sides with rubber cement just to hold it in place. And then I just need to use a toothpick to poke the hole. Well, I'm glad I did this. It looks like way better with the center post covered in the foil as well. It is a good addition to. There's silver showing now. Okay, well, this was going okay until for some reason it looks like the foil folded over on itself, maybe. Well, after I get this on, okay, squeezed down adequately, so it's kind of adhering. Thing is hard. Why is everything being difficult? Is it that it was working fine until it wasn't? It's the curse of the end of the stream. And everything gets tired. I think, I know one of them was definitely a 20. I think the other one was, who knows, it might have been a 12. Because as you said, you can make all of the other numbers if there's a D12. But I can't remember anymore. And I know that there's no recordings of this thing left. There's nothing other than my rambling on about what I remember to prove that it actually happened, much less demonstrate how it was done. But it might have been a 20 and a 12. But I do remember now that there were two wheels, because every once in a while we had to move the camera from one wheel to the other. Well, this was going okay, and then it wasn't. I'm just going to keep piling cement on here, rubber cement, and little bits of foil. And then I need to stop. Otherwise, otherwise, there's always going to be yet one more thing, yet one more thing, yet one more thing. After I stick this on and push it down, no, it's not sticking. Okay. So is this problem? What I'm wondering is this part that isn't gold colored, whether the problem there is that, and I think it's with the piece that I stuck on later. Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, that didn't work quite like I was hoping. But I know what I need to do, which is cut little squares out and cover the tops of these. So when I come back to this in like 3 weeks, gone next week, come back and do minifigs the week after. The week after that, I'm going to finish these off by covering up the top here, like I did with this bit here. Okay. Putting a cap on it, and it just finishes it really nicely. I just need to be able to get the right piece of foil and adhesive, like contact cement, to hold it down. But otherwise, these pads, I think, came out actually pretty authentic looking, because when I looked at the picture of the Lem at the Smithsonian, these pads were all crumply like this. So I'm going to put them away. Here, let me clean up a little bit. I went a little bit long, but then my break was a little bit long, so it's only fair. I will see those of you who are, well, you're all welcome back a week from Monday. I'm gone next week, but come back a week from Monday. See me paint minifigs for our Dungeons and Dragons show. And that should take about a week to get them. There's 10 of them. And once those are done, I'm going to come back to this. And there isn't that much to do. I need to cap off these right at the tops there with what's left of this foil. And then, since I've attached several of these pieces, I need to just put together the parts that are the scariest, just in terms of whether they're going to fit or not without breaking. And then this will be, yeah, that's always a sign that I need to stop, as I dropped something as I was doing one more little squeeze on it to get the foil down. Just a little lump on the foil to delump it by squeezing it. And I dropped it. Fortunately, it's shiny and the floor has a black pad on it. I'm going to stop. If I don't stop, I will make a mess. So thank you all. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It was quite an adventure. It was really kind of fun. We had pizza, and then the best part was that when we all left, and it was like 1 a.m. when we finished, because we didn't start till like 9 or 10 or something. When we all left, the right across the street was a bakery, and they were baking their donuts for the next day, because they all start like that time of the day so that they can get all their stuff shipped out to the stores early the next morning. And we got amazingly fresh donuts from the bakery at like 1:30 in the morning. So yeah, that was good. Be gone next week. A week from Monday, I'll be back painting minifigs for our Dungeons and Dragons campaign. And then the week after that, I will be coming back to finishing up the descent stage of the lunar module. It's really close to being done. Just little bits that are left that are just kind of a pain, that are not working as well as I hoped they would, because the foil keeps folding in on itself and doesn't stick. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. Gone a week, minifigs for a week, and then finishing up the descent stage of the lunar module the week after that. And then moving on to the command module of the Apollo stack. And that's the last thing that will need to be done. And then the model will be complete pretty much. And I'll just have to show it to everybody. It stands like almost 2 feet high. So, yep, I will see you then. Thanks for dropping in. And thanks to everybody who has joined today, who became a follower and who's been watching. If you like to watch Dungeons and Dragons, check out our Dungeons and Dragons show, which streams with a live chat on Sundays at 2, or you can catch all of the previous episodes on YouTube. And you can come back and watch me fuddle around trying to make this model look okay on this stream, which will be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 until 2 during the weeks where I'm here. And I'll look forward to hearing your D&D stories about the campaign you just finished and the one that you're starting. Thanks, everybody.